likely been told that if a woman doesn't seem interested, the best move is to either give up, move on, or keep trying harder to prove yourself. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Women don't end up missing men because they need them. They miss men because those men have learned how to create a powerful emotional presence, even when they're not physically around. This isn't about corny tricks or cheap pickup lines. It's about grasping female psychology at a deeper level and learning how to position yourself in such a subtle way that even a woman who showed no interest at first eventually catches herself thinking about you in your absence. Sounds far-fetched? It's not. The truth is, indifference isn't permanent. It's simply a reaction. And if you know how to flip that reaction, you can completely reshape how she perceives you. Now, before you roll your eyes, understand this. Making a woman miss you has nothing to do with chasing, begging, or constantly trying to prove your worth. In fact, those are the quickest ways to destroy attraction. Women do not respect men who put in too much effort just to be noticed. What truly makes a woman miss you is the exact opposite of what most men attempt. It isn't about making yourself overly available, it's about becoming unforgettable. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how you can do that step by step. I'll show you how to spark curiosity, build respect, and eventually trigger desire, even from a woman who once didn't give you the time of day. And by the end, you'll realize something important. Making her miss you doesn't come down to luck. It comes down to understanding psychology and approaching the game differently. First, why chasing kills attraction. Here's something most men never want to hear. The more you chase a woman, the faster she pulls away. Chasing might feel natural. You see someone you want, so you try to convince her, show effort, and prove yourself worthy. But in female psychology, this almost always backfires. Why? Because chasing completely flips the balance of power. Instead of her feeling lucky to have your attention, she starts viewing you as the one desperately seeking hers. And let's be real, nobody misses what they already have too much of. When you're constantly calling, texting, or working to impress her, you're handing over all of your emotional leverage. She doesn't need to think about you because you've already made yourself too available. Think of it like this. If someone gave you free food every single day, would you ever crave it? Probably not. But the moment that food disappeared, suddenly you'd realize how badly you wanted it. The same rule applies here. Women don't miss the men who chase. They miss the men who create space and mystery. And here's the kicker. Chasing also reveals something darker. It exposes insecurity. It silently tells her that you don't see yourself as valuable enough to simply stand firm and let her come to you. And nothing kills attraction faster than insecurity. Women are pulled toward men who have options, who protect their time, and who don't need to beg for attention. So, if you want a woman, even one who isn't initially interested, to truly start missing you, the first rule is simple. Stop chasing. Step back. Allow her the space to notice your absence. That silence will scream louder than 100 texts. Imagine you text a woman 3 times a day and she replies dry or short. Instead of trying harder, stop texting her completely for 2 days. What usually happens, she begins to wonder where you've gone. She might check your profile, or she may even reach out first. By not chasing, you've given her room for curiosity to grow. Second, silence speaks louder than words. Many men think constant communication is the secret to making a woman like them. They send a good morning text, check in during the day, and end with a good night message. On the surface, it looks like effort, but in reality, it's the fastest way to be taken for granted. Why? Because when your words are always available, they lose their weight. Silence, on the other hand, carries power. It creates tension. It forces her to think. And in female psychology, curiosity outweighs familiarity every single time. When you go quiet, you make her wonder, why isn't he texting? What's he doing? Who's he with? That wondering is the seed of missing you. Here's the truth. Attention works like currency, and silence increases its value. If you keep handing out texts and calls, she'll treat it like loose change. Always there, never special. But when you hold back for a while, suddenly your attention feels rare. And what's rare is what people crave. Now, don't confuse silence with immaturity. This isn't about childish ignoring. It's about balance. proving that your life doesn't revolve around her replies. A man who doesn't feel the need to check in constantly displays confidence, independence, and self-respect. That's what makes her lean in. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say to a woman is absolutely nothing. Picture this. You've been messaging a woman every day, but suddenly she replies slower or less. Most men panic and start texting even more. But instead, you stop sending messages for an entire day. What usually happens? She notices the silence, glances at her phone expecting your name, and may even initiate contact herself. That single day of silence ends up having more impact than any long paragraph you could have written. Third, stop being too available. One of the biggest mistakes men make with women is thinking that being around 24/7 will somehow win her over. You know exactly what this looks like. You cancel your own plans just in case she calls, you reply instantly to every message, and you make sure she always knows you're right there. On paper, it looks like effort, but in reality, it makes you predictable, dull, and worst of all, forgettable. Think about it this way. When you're always available, there's no tension, no challenge, and no excitement. She knows that no matter what, you'll pick up the phone, you'll say yes, you'll drop everything. And when something becomes too easy to get, it loses its value. That's not just in relationships, that's in human nature itself. Relate it to your own life. Remember when you were chasing something important, a dream job, a rare item, or even a goal you thought was nearly out of reach. The very fact that it wasn't easily available made you want it even more. But the moment something was handed to you without any effort, it suddenly didn't feel as special. The same law applies here. Women don't crave men who orbit endlessly around them. They're drawn to men with lives, passions, and priorities of their own. Men who sometimes say, "I can't, I'm busy." Men who don't feel the need to drop everything just for approval. Why? Because independence is attractive. It shows strength, and it shows that you have value that doesn't depend on her attention. So here's the truth. The more available you make yourself, the less she feels the need to miss you. But when you create space, when you show that your world does not spin around her, that's when she notices your absence, and that's when the missing finally begins. Fourth, mystery beats honesty every time. We've all been told that honesty is the best policy. And yes, honesty has its place in relationships. But when it comes to attraction, giving too much honesty too soon kills the spark. Most men think that by putting all their cards on the table, sharing every thought, every plan, every feeling, they're building connection. But in reality, they're stripping away the very mystery that keeps a woman intrigued. Attraction isn't built logically, it's emotional. And nothing drives emotion harder than curiosity. When a woman doesn't completely know what you're about, she fills in the blanks herself. She wonders where you're going, who you're spending time with, and what you're really thinking. That wondering is exactly what keeps her hooked. But when you over-explain everything, when you act like an open book from the very start, there's nothing left for her to imagine. And if there's nothing to imagine, there's nothing to chase. Think about your favorite movie or book. What makes it exciting? The suspense, the unknown. If the whole story spoiled itself in the first 5 minutes, you'd lose interest fast. Women feel the same about men. A guy who tells her every detail about how he feels, where he's going, and what he's doing erases all suspense. And without suspense, there's no thrill. The truth is, mystery creates value. When you don't reveal everything, you force her to pay closer attention. You make her think about you, even when you're not in sight. And that's the secret. Missing you starts in her mind, long before it touches her heart. So yes, honesty matters. But if you want a woman, even one who wasn't interested at first, to crave your presence, remember this. It's not what you say that makes her miss you. It's what you don't say. Fifth, never compete for her attention. Far too many men fall into the trap of competing for a woman's focus. They see her post a picture and rush to comment before anyone else. They notice other guys giving her attention and suddenly feel the urge to outdo them. They think that if they can just be louder, funnier, or more available, she'll finally recognize their value. Let's be blunt, that's weak, and women can sense that weakness from a mile away. Here's the truth. If you're competing for her attention, you've already lost. Why? Because real men don't compete, they attract. A man who knows his worth doesn't waste time worrying about who else is texting her, who else is staring at her, or who else is trying to win her over. He knows that his value speaks for itself. And if she can't see it, that's her problem, not his. This is where most men need a harsh wake-up call. Stop putting women on a pedestal. Stop acting like her attention is some grand prize you have to fight for. That mindset doesn't just make you look desperate, it destroys respect. And desperation never earns admiration. The truth is simple. The more you chase and compete, the more she'll pull back and give her attention to the man who isn't trying so hard. Women are drawn to men who create demand, not men who beg for supply. The very moment you stop competing and start living like you are the prize, everything changes. She realizes your time, your focus, and your energy aren't cheap, and suddenly she craves them more. So here's the advice. Wake up. If you're still fighting for a woman's attention, you're silently telling her she's above you. Flip the script. You're the standard. You're the one she should be chasing. Sixth, confidence is more addictive than love. Here's a hard truth many men refuse to face. Women aren't first drawn to love. They're drawn to confidence. You can shower her with affection, write long paragraphs, and bend over backward to prove how much you care. But if you lack confidence, she won't feel that spark. Why? Because love without confidence feels like weakness, and weakness isn't attractive. Confidence, on the other hand, is magnetic. It's the silent quality that makes people stop, notice, and pay attention. It isn't about arrogance or acting superior to everyone else. True confidence is calm. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the way you move through life without begging for approval. Think about it. How many times have you seen a woman choose a man who wasn't the nicest or the best looking, but he had that unshakable self-belief? That wasn't an accident. Women are wired to respond to confidence because it signals strength, stability, and leadership. Love may warm her heart, but confidence burns into her memory. And here's where most men fail. They confuse confidence with words, when in reality, confidence is action. It's making decisions without hesitation. It's holding your ground instead of folding just to keep her happy. It's being willing to walk away if you're not being respected. That kind of confidence doesn't just make her like you, it makes you unforgettable. So here's your wake-up call. Stop believing that love alone will make her miss you. Love without confidence is dependency, and dependency repels attraction. Confidence is what lingers in her mind long after you've gone. That's what keeps her awake at night. That's what makes her miss you, even if she swore she wouldn't. Seventh, make her think she's losing you. Nothing makes a woman miss a man more than the thought of him slipping away. That's basic human psychology. People rarely value what's guaranteed. They value what they might lose. And too many men ruin this by making themselves permanent fixtures in a woman's life, even when she hasn't earned it. Here's the reality. If she knows you'll always be there no matter what, she has no reason to chase you, no reason to appreciate you, and no reason to miss you. But the second she senses your attention drifting away, when she feels your energy isn't centered on her anymore, something inside her shifts. Suddenly, questions begin racing through her mind. What if he's moving on? What if another woman is getting his attention? What if I've lost my chance? That fear is powerful, and it's what ignites desire. But let's make this clear. This isn't about playing games or manipulating her. It's about self-respect. You're not faking a pullback. You're genuinely showing that your life does not revolve around her. You're proving that if she doesn't see your worth, someone else eventually will. That realization is what makes her feel your absence. So the lesson is simple. Stop being a guarantee. Be willing to walk away. Be willing to let her feel the silence. Be willing to let her imagine what life looks like without you in it. That's when she'll start to miss you the most. Because deep down, nothing hits harder for a woman than realizing she once had a man she can't get back. And here's the painful truth most men don't want to hear. Women don't actually miss the nice guy. They miss the man who had the strength to step back and let her feel his absence. You could be the sweetest, most caring guy in the world, but if you never create space, she won't value you. She'll overlook you. And in the end, it's the man who respects himself enough not to beg, the man who has the courage to walk away, that she ends up chasing. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.